Before he was the adversary of Lord Rama, the ruler of Lanka was a figure defined by his intellect. We often imagine him as a mindless monster, but he was a scholar and a warrior who had climbed to the peak of his ambition. His authority rested on a prestigious lineage. He was the grandson of Sage Pulastya, one of the mind-born sons of Brahma, the creator. This divine line continued through the ascetic Vishrava. But his path changed when he married the Asura princess Kaikesi. She sought him out for a child during an inauspicious astrological hour, a timing that would shape the nature of her firstborn. The child was born with 10 heads and 20 arms, and was named Dashagriva. This union of divine intellect and Asura instinct created a being of immense potential, but one possessing a volatile and aggressive temperament. Raised in his father's ashram, Dashagriva was a prodigy. He mastered the Vedas, the sciences of warfare, and the complexities of the Tantras with an ease that surpassed any of his peers. His brother, Vibhishana, used that same education to deepen his commitment to righteousness and the path of Dharma. Dashagriva, however, saw knowledge as a tool for leverage. He decided that scholarly mastery was only a starting point. To truly dominate the 3 worlds, he sought physical invincibility. Though both brothers shared the same environment and the same father, Dashagriva used his intellect to serve his own rise. He demonstrated how easily supreme knowledge can be turned toward the pursuit of power when it isn't balanced by humility. To gain the strength he craved, Dashagriva performed penance for thousands of years. In a final show of resolve, he severed his heads one by one as offerings to the sacrificial fire, forcing Brahma to intervene. When the creator appeared, Dashagriva asked for immunity from gods, demons, and celestial beings. He viewed humans and monkeys as so insignificant that he didn't bother to include them in his request. With his heads restored and his immortality nearly complete, he turned on his own stepbrother, Kubera. He led an army to the golden city of Lanka and drove Kubera out. This victory over his own blood established his sovereignty. It showed that his desire for power would always outweigh familial ties or moral obligations. After taking Lanka, Dashagriva seized Kubera's most distinct asset, the Pushpaka Vimana, a divine flying chariot that could travel anywhere in the heavens. The Pushpaka Vimana gave him unmatched territorial reach. It was a way to project his presence over every kingdom in the 3 realms. Wherever the shadow of the Vimana fell, his authority followed. He moved across the sky, establishing himself as the conqueror of gods and men alike. The golden ship was a constant reminder of his reach. In his eyes, the laws of the world no longer applied to a king who could look down on them from the clouds. His ambition eventually brought him to the slopes of Mount Kailash. As he tried to fly over the sacred mountain, the Pushpaka Vimana came to a sudden forced stop, blocked by a barrier he couldn't see. Confronted by Nandi, the guardian of Shiva, Dashagriva laughed, mocking his appearance. Nandi responded with a prophecy that a clan of Vanaras, the creatures he had ignored, would one day lead to his downfall. Dashagriva ignored the warning. To prove that no obstacle could stop him, he reached down with all 20 arms to grip the mountain, intending to lift the entire peak and throw it entirely from his path. He was convinced that his strength and his divine boons were enough to move the seat of Shiva himself. While Dashagriva strained, Lord Shiva remained still. He looked down at the upheaval and gently pressed his big toe against the rock. The weight of the entire mountain shifted. Dashagriva's arms were pinned against the earth, leaving him trapped and unable to move. The conqueror of the 3 worlds was now paralyzed by a single gesture. His physical power, which had overwhelmed every other enemy, was useless in this encounter. During the centuries he spent trapped under the weight of the mountain, Dashagriva's defiance began to erode. In the darkness and the pain, his focus shifted from his own glory to the god who held him there. He used his own sinews as strings to play music and began to sing. He composed the Shiva Tandava Stotram, a rhythmic hymn of praise that echoed through the mountain passes. Shiva eventually lifted the mountain and stood before him. He accepted Dashagriva's devotion and presented him with the Chandrahas, a crescent sword carrying divine power. Because Dashagriva's cries of pain and praise had been so loud that they resonated throughout the world, Shiva gave him a new name, Ravana, the one whose roar makes the universe tremble. Ravana left the mountain with a new title and a new weapon, but he had also learned the limits of his own might. He began his journey as a scholar seeking immortality through conquest, but he was ultimately defined by the moment he was brought to his knees by a single toe.